Hello, it's Phillip Taylor from Richmond Green Chambers speaking. I'm looking at a series of books written by Philip Wood, and one of them, which I've reviewed elsewhere, is The Law and Practice of International Finance, which is a university edition to assist learners with understanding how we operate globally with financial legal issues. This book, which is just a copy, it's a very heavy book because it's very glossy. If you carry it in a bag, make sure you've got a strong bag, because it really is a very heavy book because it's got a lot of glossy pictures, charts and so on. This is actually Maps of World Financial Law, and it's now in its 6th edition. I met Professor Wood and he told me about this book in some detail because I hadn't actually seen it, and I found it fascinating to read. On the internet, I've given it the review title, Getting the Financial Global Picture, because actually the maps, that's exactly what the maps do. They give you some picture when you look at the globe as to where the financial strong points are and where the weak points are. And what Philip Wood has done here is, with the special ability he has, he's made the most, in my view, of a difficult area of law sound easy. And he does this brilliantly with the global maps. And these global law maps, of course, are covering the world's financial law centres. It's heavy, it's a very glossy book, as I've said, and it's part of his magnificent series of publications which he's written in conjunction with his firms of solicitors. He's a professor of law at Oxford and an international professor from South Africa. What he's done, though, with the series of books and this map and the university edition as well, is to explore the mysteries of how finance operates in the world's different jurisdictions. Very suitable in 2009 as we head for very substantial problems within the world economy. What he does, in fact, as well, is he uses the maps to make a great comparison of how different countries operate in different ways, and this is actually a companion now to the university edition of The Law and Practice of International Finance, which I mentioned. What he does is he clarifies key concepts, and I found what was particularly attractive about the maps, apart from the fact they're all in full colour, which makes it so heavy, is the structure, the detail and the scholarship which is evident throughout. It's got 3 purposes, this book. One, to help those who are concerned with comparative financial law on a global scale as an aid to economists with limited availability to accurate legal data. 2, to set out a new set of criteria for a classification or taxonomy of legal systems in world financial law. And 3rd, to rate or grade legal systems on particular legal issues, and that's particularly helpful, I think, at the moment. And throughout, Professor Wood introduces as much objectivity as he can and as the subject allows, and the gradings, in my view, which are given are as good as you will get. Now, his firm solicitors, which I referred to, Allen and Overy, have provided valuable research facilities for him, and obviously given him substantial resources to enable him to complete his endeavours with the use of an immense team of dedicated researchers. And these people have been tasked with finding the information and putting it in one place, and that's actually what he's been doing, working with Thomson, Sweet and Maxwell. He rightly says, does Professor Wood, that, quote, "It needs a team to do for law what the Genome Project did for genes," where he keeps as up to date as possible. And at the launch of the new editions, which I went to last year, that's in 2008, he told me to read the preface on each occasion, because that's the giveaway. And he's absolutely right. When you do that, the picture then emerges of the individual books, the maps and the university edition, and the 7 volumes. It tells you what picture is that he's painting. And Wood is so good when it comes to educating with such ease that he does this with his team in such a way that it makes the subject come alive. Now, this particular Maps edition is the 6th edition. It has 25 chapters with summaries at the beginning of each chapter, which is actually very helpful, and an excellent detailed bibliography at the back. However, use the maps with care. It's difficult enough to know about our own jurisdiction, and even more difficult to know about others, and Wood tells us that one map effectively took 10 years to construct, and yet, quote, it still doesn't cover all 320 jurisdictions. So he's indefatigable, he's never giving up with it. He hopes that future editions will build up a more comprehensive set of maps to portray what is actually happening today in our world, as financial flows are much bigger than trade flows, so the amounts involved in international finance are truly enormous, and we've seen that with the downturn and the fact that we're now talking in terms of trillions of dollars or pounds. And as I would expect, the book itself is the visual representation of the knowledge and works of Professor Philip Wood. It's been built up over years, here and abroad, and is rightly the perfect visual tool for international finance for the learner and the practitioner. It's also an academic forerunner of what all learners, as they ask their first questions when embarking on a legal or economic studies, will turn to. What is our jurisdiction and where do we fit in to it all? Obviously that's trying to get the picture. Look no further. This work is the only available series, as I understand it, of maps and charts explaining the information in its simplest pictorial form from the acknowledged master of international finance law. And I wish I had them when I was a student. Thank you very much. Goodbye.